let's talk about something incredibly important, but often misunderstood: human trafficking. Now, this can be a tough subject, I know, but we're going to look at it through a really unique lens today. We're drawing from a fantastic CNN article by Brad Riley, and it gives us a framework to see how this crime really operates, often hiding right in front of us.
We will never arrest our way out of this problem. Just let that sink in for a second. This isn't coming from an activist or a politician. This is coming directly from law enforcement, the very people on the front lines. It's a huge signal that our typical approach, raids and arrests, just isn't cutting it. It's basically a plea for us to completely rethink how we're tackling this.
So, that big rethink starts right here. It's about reframing the entire problem. If we actually want to make a dent in this, we have to stop saying trafficking is just a string of individual crimes. We need to start recognizing it for what it is, a much deeper cultural issue.
This chart breaks down that difference perfectly. Look at the left side, the criminal problem view. It's all reactive, right? It's about responding after the crime has happened. But then look at the right side, the cultural problem view. It's proactive. It moves the focus away from just law enforcement and puts it on us, the community, and on preventing this from ever starting.
I love this metaphor. It's so powerful. Think about it. Just arresting traffickers is like ripping the top off a weed. Sure, it's gone for a minute, but the roots are still there, and it's just going to grow right back. To get rid of it for good, you have to dig down and pull out the roots, the vulnerabilities in our society that let this horrible thing grow in the first place.
Okay, so if we need to get to the roots, how do we do that? Well, first, we have to understand the main tool traffickers use. And I'll tell you right now, it's not what most of us picture. It's not chains and brute force, at least not at the beginning. It's something way more subtle, way more sinister.
It all comes down to psychological manipulation. Exploiters are absolute experts at finding what a young person is missing, what they're longing for. And then, they become that person. They custom tailor their personality to fill that void. They don't have to break down the door because they get invited right in. And once that trust is built, the trap is set.
So how exactly do they do it? This is where the source material gets really clear and helpful. It lays out 5 common disguises or personas that an exploiter will put on to earn that trust and begin the process of manipulation.
Here they are, the 5 Ps: the pretender, provider, promiser, protector, and punisher. If we can learn to spot these patterns, we have a real shot at prevention. So, let's break down exactly what each of these looks like.
First up, we have the pretender. This is all about hijacking a role of trust. The exploiter finds a hole in a person's life. Maybe they don't have a stable father figure, or they desperately want a boyfriend, or they look up to a cool older sibling. The pretender steps in and plays that part perfectly, becoming the exact person the victim has been looking for.
Next is the provider. This disguise is so effective because it targets both basic needs and wants. An exploiter might offer a place to live or food, but they'll also dangle things like a new iPhone, cool clothes, or invitations to exclusive parties. Every single gift, big or small, is designed to make the victim feel indebted and dependent.
Then you've got the promiser. This one is all about selling a fantasy. They'll talk about a modeling contract that's just waiting for them, or a high-paying job in an exciting city, or a life filled with travel and glamour. The promiser finds a young person's biggest dreams and uses those ambitions as leverage against them.
The fourth disguise is the protector. Now this one is really twisted. The exploiter creates this us-against-the-world bubble. They might intimidate other people to keep them away, but they frame it as, "I'm just protecting you." In reality, it's all about isolation. The message is, I'm the only one you could trust, the only one who can keep you safe.
And finally, when the trust starts to break down, when the victim starts to see the cracks in the other disguises, the exploiter's final face is revealed: the punisher. This is when the subtle manipulation turns into outright force. It's violence, threats, and fear, all used to regain control. This is often the only side of trafficking we see in movies, but you have to remember, it's usually the very last resort in a long, calculated game of manipulation.
Okay, so we can now recognize the playbook, but what do we do about it? How do we actually push back against this? The article makes a brilliant point. The solution isn't to just feel sorry for victims. It demands something much more active, much more powerful.
And this is such a critical distinction to make.
Sympathy, feeling bad for someone, it might make us feel like we care, but it doesn't actually change anything for them. It's passive. What we really need is something that gets us off the sidelines and into the game.
This slide just lays it out so clearly. We basically have three options. We can choose apathy, which is just indifference and nothing ever changes. We can choose sympathy, which we just talked about and the problem still doesn't get solved. Or we can choose empathy. And look at that definition, an active response to suffering. It's about choosing to understand, to engage, and to act. And that's the only path that leads to real justice.
So the last step is taking that empathy and putting it to work. And this means we have to flip our entire strategy on its head, from being reactive to being proactive. It's all about fighting and winning this battle upstream, long before the most vulnerable are ever swept away by the current.
This upstream-downstream analogy from the article is just perfect. For so long, we've been operating downstream. We're standing by the river, pulling people out after they're already drowning, in crisis. That's reactive. The upstream approach is about walking up the river to figure out why people are falling in, and building a fence. It's about creating a community so strong and so aware that exploiters can't even get close. And really, this is what it all boils down to. A community that runs on empathy is the ultimate antidote. When we're engaged, when we know these signs, when we build real, supportive relationships with our youth, the manipulators have nowhere to go. Their power just evaporates. Apathy loses, exploitation loses, and justice wins.
We're going to end with the same challenge the article leaves us with. It's a big question, and it's for all of us to answer. Years from now, when we look back, what will we see? Did we just keep pulling at the weeds? Or did we do the hard work? Did we go for the roots to truly protect the next generation? Thanks for joining this explainer.